On March 5th, 2022, my iPhone 12 Pro Max hit what seemed to be doomsday. My OLED panel and my back glass was utterly destroyed. Luckily, the iPhone survived the impact, but with heavy damage. This is a story that dates all the way back to a year and 6 months ago. It started when I had a damaged pair of second-generation AirPods that needed to be sent back to Apple through their mail-in service to be repaired under the Apple Limited warranty. Now, note that Apple does take a security deposit whenever you send in your AirPods or whatever the item may be for the Apple Limited Warranty service. Since they are sending you a new pair and you are returning the old pair, there is a little deductible fee there that you have to temporarily pay. Now, in my situation, the price for the AppleCare Plus on my iPhone 12 Pro Max and the price for the AirPods were the same exact amount, and they were both done on the same exact day. Fast forward to a couple weeks later, I had sent my AirPods back to Apple and got my new ones, although I had never got my security deposit back. After calling Apple support multiple times about this issue, probably around 3 times or so, they tried to refund it, and refund it again with no luck. The funds never came back to the card, and it just left unsettled. So the next step was to contact the bank and file a dispute. After I filed the dispute, I thought that it would be all over and we could move on, but unfortunately, I was very wrong. After the funds were delivered back into my account, I had moved on and thought it was over. Eventually, I noticed that the AppleCare Plus just randomly disappeared from my iPhone 12, but I had thought nothing of it since I didn't need to use it. Now, on to March 5th, 2022, when my phone was destroyed from front to back. I had of course called Apple support to set up an appointment and get my phone repaired, but I had then learned that the AppleCare really did disappear from my phone with no explanation. Now, I knew this was going to be a one-way ticket to hours of contacting higher-up teams at Apple. I then discovered that when the AirPods issue occurred, I accidentally disputed the AppleCare for my iPhone instead of disputing the AirPods. My next thought was to either get a new phone or repair what I have now, so I settled for making monthly payments on the iPhone SE 3rd generation to use for a while until I get the whole thing figured out. 4 months and $600 later, my iPhone 12 was still damaged. Finally, I decided to get a new display for my iPhone so that I could at least use it for the time being and then worry about the other damage later on. Going third party was a huge mistake, and I probably wouldn't do it again. I received the display and started the repair process. After a few hours of trying to separate the screen from the body of the iPhone, I realized that it wasn't going to work with the tools that I had. I then took a trip to my local Best Buy and bought a iFixit repair toolkit. The whole process ended up taking 8 hours to work on since I had another toolkit that was required for this repair that hadn't been delivered yet. I wanted the phone to be done before I went on vacation so that I would have it for things like pictures and flying my drone. But since the toolkit had not delivered yet, I was working with the tools that I had available to me at the time. Next thing I know, the phone booted up with the new screen and was running decently, although the third-party display had issues with color accuracy and would freak out whenever it was on the charger. At least I had my phone back for good. At least I thought. September 12th, 2022 rolls around with the latest and greatest iOS 16 update. I had the beta on other phones for a while, so I was super excited to update to this version. I had started the update, put my phone on the charger, then left it alone for about 30 minutes. When I came back to it, the phone screen would refuse to turn on no matter what I did. I could still answer calls, flip the ringer switch, and get a taptic vibration, but nothing showed on the display. My first thought was that there was something wrong with the iOS 16 update. I called Apple support, and the first thing they told me to do was to try to restore it from my Mac, which I had already tried multiple times. They had me reset it from iCloud, which didn't make any difference in the functionality of the phone. I tried restoring it to multiple different iOS versions using 3U tools for Windows, but even going back to iOS 15 didn't help. Eventually, I called my favorite repair shop, Triple D iRepair. They were experiencing the same issue with iPhone 12 model devices that had both third-party displays and OEM original displays. They said that I could either contact my display vendor and ask if they had a new version of the screen that was iOS 16 compatible, or I could disconnect the display, restore it to iOS 15, and then reconnect the display and that it should work. I personally didn't want to keep using iOS 15, so I went to my screen vendor for more information on the problem. They said that they had a new compatible screen and to send my old screen back and that they would provide me with a new one. I happily agreed, thinking that this would finally solve the issue. I disconnected and packed my old display for shipping, then sent it back to them. The next day, I had a chance to stop into Triple D iRepair and catch up with them. They informed me that Apple had just released iOS 16.0.2, which fixed the problem where iPhones were blacking out after the iOS 16 update. Of course, the day after that I shipped my screen back. During the time of waiting, I called Apple support in hopes to receive compensation for the time that I have been without my phone. Luckily, I got a helpful Apple Apple senior advisor that was willing to help me out. When the new display arrived, I installed the display, then updated it to iOS 16.0.2. Still no display. I settled for the iOS 15 workaround until the permanent solution to the issue was found. The next morning, I called my phone provider, which is Cricket Wireless, to get my eSIM transferred over from the iPhone SE to the iPhone 12 to use for now. Later that day, I called Apple support once again for another fix to the issue, and they told me that I should just wait for another update and hope that fixes it. But this wasn't a very good solution. After an hour on the phone with them, we got absolutely nowhere. So far, this concludes my iOS 16 story. It's been quite a journey throughout this past year and 6 months, and I honestly just want to get a new phone and put these problems behind me. If I should post more updates on the issue to let you guys know what happens next, please let me know down in the comments below, and I will definitely be happy to do that. Other else than that, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.